Welcome, everybody, to another Helper series of Dear Asian Americans. I am your host, Jerry Wan, reporting to you from Los Angeles. Hope everybody is doing well, staying inside, staying safely. We are going through some interesting, unprecedented times, and in the face of dealing with things that we've never done before or we've never seen before. A lot of us are doing things together collectively that we've never done before. So wherever you may be watching this from, or where you're listening to this, through the podcast, thank you, and I hope you're staying safely. Today is a special interview for me, and it's a bit of a different interview. First time we are interviewing two founders of an organization together, and you may actually not recognize their faces, but I am pretty sure you have heard of their impact and the group that they created, which is the Asian Hustle Network. So I am so excited to host Bryan and Maggie here. And you may be watching this video or have found out about the Asian Americans through the Asian Hustle Network. It has been a place of celebration, support, and inspiration, which are the three keys of this show. And I think there's so much synergy that's going on in the world right now. So I wanted to have them on the show to show my appreciation for the community that they've created and so many of us have benefited from. But we don't really know where they come from or what their story is. So let's start with that. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. We're so excited to be here.
Yeah, I can't wait to have fun today. So I'll let Maggie start her story first, as ladies first.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Maggie Chui. I am born and raised in San Francisco, California, and now I live in Oakland. So a little bit about myself. I come from a finance background. So when I grew up, I'm really close to my family, my mom and dad. And like during college time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I didn't even know what to major in really. But obviously growing up in an Asian household, my mom and dad, they wanted me to like major in something that was like safe, right? So it's like either accounting or like finance or something to do with numbers and math, right? So I was like, okay, I'll major in finance. And so now I work in finance, I work in tech, but now we're trying to shift to like a more entrepreneurial state. And so, like Jerry said, we started Asian Hustle Network, and we've been focusing that on in the last 4 months. So that's pretty much like been taking up like 90% of my time, and I'm trying to learn, the ropes of like transitioning to a 9-to-5 and focusing on Asian Hustle Network and really making a difference for the whole community.
Yeah, so myself, I'm Bryan Pham. I grew up in San Gabriel in LA, a suburb in LA. So when I was growing up, it was relatively safe. I was living in a bubble pretty much, where everyone did the same things. We all had all the same aspirations. So in the area that I grew up is very modest, because everyone that I grew up with, their parents immigrated from a different country, their first generation, or their parents escaped the Vietnam War. So we had a lot of that in common. It wasn't until I went to college went to college in Irvine that my mind started to expand, because what I thought was possible before, what I thought was impossible before became more possible as I was meeting more people of different backgrounds. And it really opened up my mind to how the world really works and how money really works. Prior to that, I thought like a normal life would be living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house with 5 brothers and sisters, with your parents sharing having like a bedroom with like 5 bunk beds in there, because we didn't know any better. We thought that was just the way of life. And going to college and meeting all these people that come from really wealthy families made me curious to see how money works. Unfortunately, when I was going to college, the economy wasn't doing too bad after the 2008 crash. So originally when I started college, I was a econ/political science major. And I realized towards the end of my second year that I needed to major in something a little bit more lucrative. So I literally was looking at the top 10 jobs in America that doesn't require grad school. And one of them was software engineering. So I picked up computer science, graduated in a year and a half, and then just became a software engineer. And then I was really curious still about how money works and everything. So I started reading a lot of books in 401k. I started looking at how the stock market works. I started looking at different side hustles. And keep in mind that when I was doing this, I was about 21, 22. And I was just want to experiment stuff. So I worked a couple years in corporate, and I realized that it sucks. Like, it made me wonder about what I want to do in my life. Like, I wonder, there's a lot of times after work where I went to happy hour with my coworkers, and I wonder if this is all there is to life. Is this just work and, drinking with your buddies? And, I felt so purposeless, and it made me feel really uncomfortable. It wasn't until 5 years ago that I moved out to the Bay Area to be a software engineer. And when I moved up here, I was a little naive to how much the cost of living was up here. Um, I made software engineering money, but I was living paycheck to paycheck, literally. And I couldn't imagine myself not having roommates, even though I was making a lot more money than I was in LA. So my roommate at the time got me into real estate. So we started doing real estate together. And I realized that I have a huge passion for it. I love everything about it. I love meeting the people, understanding the process. And it really led to me developing my EQ a lot, that I can talk to a lot of people. The stereotype of engineers is like, you're awkward, you're antisocial. It's all true. I was just like that. So that taught me a lot about EQ, because I was reading stuff about EQ from a textbook. I am literally textbook EQ. Like, the way I solve my problems when in Asian Hustle Network or in life, it's textbook, because I have virtually no EQ before that. So I had to learn it. It's a skill that I acquired. And then I started doing really well in real estate that, it got me to leave my job 2 years ago, and then became a software engineer again a year ago. So I went back and forth because I was trying to find what made me happy. And that kind of led me building a community in the Bay Area, in which I created a real estate meetup that gained up to 1,000 members in about a year. And I was thinking to myself that if I could bring together a community of people of different age and ethnic backgrounds to work together, I want to apply it to the Asian community. And we didn't know what the idea was. We talked about this for like a couple of months. And I kept talking to Maggie over dinner. She's like, I was like, hey babe, like I want to create a bigger impact. And she's like, you should do it. I'm like, what am I doing? What is this impact? And it wasn't until we went to Japan around April 2019 last year that we really got the inspiration for this group. So we went to Tokyo, and we were walking around the Meiji Shrine. And around the shrine, we saw a lot of tablets on the wall that people were writing their stories from all over the world. And to our surprise, Maggie and I spent 2 to 3 hours at the shrine, reading everyone's story. And that really left a strong impact and impression of how we wanted to create our future community. So when we got back to America, we got invited to Facebook groups, Subtle Asian Traits. But to us, that was just, a memes group. We didn't really think much of it. But it wasn't until leading up to us creating Asian Hustle Network that, around September, October, that people started inviting me to their communities. So I started to realize, wait, there are Facebook communities out there that we can leverage. But the whole idea of creating this Facebook group was very scary to us. We are quite private people that we're scared to put ourselves forward like that, It took a lot of mental preparation to get in place. And all our fears are validated. As soon as we created this group, people are liking our pictures from 6-7 years ago. Like, wow, we're really digging deep, But once we realized that we had nothing to hide, we had a bigger vision that we wanted to accomplish. It wasn't that scary anymore. But yeah, that's kind of our story, our background, how we got to where we were today.
Thank you. And let's go back to you, Maggie. So the group's only been around for 4 months, maybe.
Yeah, November.
And the membership just crossed the 40,000 member mark. As with groups, it grows not linearly but exponentially. So we expected to see it grow. And you've had a number of in-person events. And though you've had to pivot a little bit of late, given all that's going on. But what was your initial vision of creating the group? What was your purpose? Let's start with that.
Yeah. So we talk about this story a lot, actually, and it's a really funny story. We can go back in November, and Bryan and I actually went to this real estate conference, and the real estate conference had a panel of speakers, and these speakers were making about 100 million to 200 million a year. And these group of people, I believe they own a majority of the land in the East Bay, right? So they're giving their speeches, they're giving their stories, their experiences. But we realized that none of them were Asian. And we felt like that was a consistent theme, the more and more events and conferences that we went to. And if they were Asian, usually they don't talk much, or if we look at the attendance, there's not a lot of Asians who attend. And we thought about it and we're like, why is this such a consistent theme? And we look back to like community-based organizations or community-based events. There's the lowest in attendance for Asians. And why is that? And if we go back to our grassroots, we think about it, a lot of us are conditionally and culturally ingrained to believe that we don't have a voice or we need to keep to ourselves, right? And a lot of that goes back to how our parents raised us. And our parents taught us, we just have to, stick with our own people. Don't, say anything to your executives. If you have something to say, like, just keep everything to yourself, But it really goes back to, our parents immigrating here, and a lot of them came from times of war. So they feel like we can't get the support that we want or we need if we were looking for it, right? We just have to figure out a way to do it on our own. But now it's like we're living in a different generation and we're living in a different era. And I feel like there's no reason to think that way, And so we were trying to just tackle that mental barrier and create a mentality where we can all help each other succeed. And so coming back from that conference, Bryan and I got back home and we were like, you know what, we need to look up a platform or an online community where we can just share something about our dreams and our goals, our businesses, our aspirations that we want to achieve. But we couldn't find anything. And like Bryan said, there's subtle Asian traits, and that's racked up to 1.6 million, which is 1.7 million, which is super impressive, and those are, I think that's like one of the Facebook groups that I find very impressive, where all of these Asians, not only Asian Americans, but Asians from all over the world can link up together, right? But that was more for like memes, comedy, humor, and it wasn't more of like sharing your businesses with each other, where we can all support each other, right? And once we figured out, okay, there's nothing online that we could find, we were like, okay, why don't we just create a Facebook group, right? Because we realized that Facebook groups have a lot of power, have a lot of, impact. So we created one and we
watch it blow up.
Yeah.
That's just the way, yeah.
Yeah, we created it on November 8th, and we initially just invited our friends or inner circle. So it was less than 100 people.
Yeah.
We didn't think anything of it, right? We knew that it could have a great impact, but we didn't know how fast it would grow. And so we kind of left it alone for the next couple of hours. We were like, we got to go to the gym. We went to the gym. We started working out, and then we started checking our Facebook.
It started growing like crazy.
And
I didn't even have a single post in there yet.
Yeah.
Like 0 posts.
Yeah. And so it kind of became a snowball effect, right? Because people automatically resonated with the name of it, Asian Hustle Network. We got a lot of people coming to us and voicing their opinions, like, oh, why would you, only direct it to Asians? Maybe you should take out the word Asian, But we didn't feel like that was necessary, because it's not like we're blocking out people who aren't Asian. We actually welcome everyone and anyone. But it's just the fact that we have a mission, and we have to make that mission very specific, and that's how people are able to resonate with it. That's how people are able to connect with it. And also, Bryan and I talk about this all the time, but people also resonate with the word hustle, And
Tell them the story about the word hustle.
Yeah, the story behind the word hustle. Bryan loves the word hustle. He uses it all the time.
Prior to creating Asian Hustle Network.
He considers himself a hustler, but there's also a kind of like a weird connotation to the word hustler, as you know. So that's the first thing I thought. So I was like, do you think people would have a weird impression of the word hustler?
She didn't like the word hustler. It was almost Asian work hard network.
Work hard, keep your head down. Don't talk back to your boss network.
So Bryan was like, no, it's going to be okay. Everyone's going to love the word hustle. So we decided to name it Asian Hustle Network.
No. The previous name was Asian Hustle.
Oh, yeah.
Just the Asian Hustle.
Asian hustle. And we did some market research, okay, who else has used the word Asian hustle? And we found a lot of inappropriate websites.
Oh boy.
Everything like that, and it's like, check out this Asian hustler.
Yeah. So we realized we needed one more word, so we added the word network.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah, so I mean, that same night, it just grew and grew and grew. And in the first couple of weeks, I believe the first week or two, we got to 5,000 members.
Wow.
It was so surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were not mentally prepared for it at all. And we couldn't stop ourselves from checking our phones.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my God, it's growing so fast. And the whole time I was eating dinner at Maggie, and she's like, babe, oh my God.
Yeah.
But we saw it grow so quickly. So quickly we put into place all the structure.
Right.
We immediately got trademarked because we knew that it was going to grow too fast. At the time, I think we had about maybe like 500 members. We decided to add 25 moderators. Right. And everyone asked me, Bryan, why are you adding so many moderators right now? Is that a great idea? I told them, dude, we're going to get to 1 million. I already said that at the 500 member mark. I said, we're going to get to 1 million, so we need the structures in place to be prepared for it.
Right.
So thank God we had 25 moderators who were with us since the very beginning. So as our group has evolved, they understand the culture and the vision that we're moving towards. In turn, it minimizes the work we're doing right now. Can you imagine onboarding new moderators right now that don't quite understand where we came from, right? We're going to approve posts that are against our vision.
Sure.
And slowly our culture is going to be eroded.
And so, you guys covered a lot of the questions that I had, which I think, stemmed from, you are one of the preeminent and one of the fastest growing communities, digital communities for Asian Americans. Not even just the people who hustle from an entrepreneurial perspective, but we see a lot of posts from people who have jobs or, are students in transition. And so I was always curious what you guys thought was the opportunity, right? Because you guys were not the first nor the last Asian Facebook group or any sort of community. But, the right branding with the right community model. And, like you said, Bryan, you put into a lot of structures that helped it grow. I think when people generally think about Facebook groups or communities, it's not taken as seriously as you guys are taking it. Obviously, if members have been to your events and have seen videos of the events, it's quite impressive, right? And it's not because, two people just decided, hey, we want to start connecting people, and, takes 5 minutes to build a Facebook group. So that's been super impressive. And so I want to ask you guys, obviously the expectation to go to 40,000 members in, 4 months, not maybe expected. I don't know. You have lofty, expectations and dreams. How has the group evolved? Because in a 40,000 person room, which is, about twice the size of a basketball arena, it's hard to, I don't want to say control, but you can't control the conversation anymore.
Definitely. I can speak to that. So, when we first started, obviously we wanted to set boundaries and we wanted to set standards in place so that we can create this culture of the group, right? And a lot of people, when they first got the invitation to Asian Hustle Network, a lot of them actually came to us and said like, oh yeah, to be honest, when I first saw it in my notifications, they're like, oh, another Asian group, like, what is this gonna be about? A lot of people didn't have high expectations of it, and which is understandable. There's many, many different groups out there on Facebook and even on the online platform, obviously, but every group has a different purpose. Every group has a different mission, right? And when these people began joining the group, we wanted to make sure that every person felt welcomed. So Bryan and I kind of set the standard. Everyone started posting stories of themselves because we started posting stories of our backgrounds, our parents, how they immigrated here, what they had to sacrifice to give up, a better life for their children, for us. And when people hear about this, they want to share their story as well.
It was quite scary for us, by the way, sharing our personal story.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we set the culture, we set the trend.
Right.
And I have to give major props to everyone that posts their story right now, especially at 41,000 people. Yeah. When I post my story to 50 people, I couldn't.
Yeah, it's almost unknown. So, So let's talk, I think, about today, this week, the last 10 days, the amount of just love and support through the network to uh, the statistics say 15% of Americans work in the service industry. I don't have the numbers, but I think we can all,
Mm-hmm.
confidently guess that within our community, that number is much higher, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
talking restaurants, dry cleaners, liquor stores, nail
Right.
salons, all these businesses that are generally owned and operated by either, folks of our parents' generation and a lot of our friends,
Mm-hmm.
are being completely disrupted. I guess even disrupted is a nice word to say. I read yesterday that Yelp is canceling all of its summer internships now. They were the first major company to do it, which if you think about who their revenue base is, these are all small businesses. And if they no longer see revenue coming in, because small business, as we know it, will never be the same. And I will put a little bit of context into this because I've seen some discussions of, and I do think that there's a lot of good self-policing going on, but I don't want to say opportunistic, but folks asking for PPE equipment for healthcare workers, and the community responds, and once in a rare moon, you get somebody who's trying to monetize on the situation. And as I said, there's a lot of good self-policing going on, but let's take the last 10 days as sort of a bubble. Like, how have you guys seen the course of conversation go through, particularly as you decide what gets to be posted versus what can wait, or what you decide not to let people share?
Yeah, I can take this question. I think prior to 10 days ago, the group was very optimistic, very positive regarding the whole, hey, I want to learn more about business. I want to do more career development stuff, personal development. But ever since the coronavirus outbreak, obviously the group has switched gears into, man, we need to survive mode. So a lot of posts that used to do really well, like motivational posts, are not doing as well lately. A lot of posts who are geared towards creating immediate impact are getting a lot more positive posts. And for us, we see ourselves as the voice of the Asian community. Like even though like a lot of this doesn't quite fit into our initial vision is, we want to make sure that we are able to adapt to this and make sure that we create this platform that, you know what, it may not be hustle related, but we're here to support each other. And that's one of the core values that we currently have. And, for us, you're right. Ever since the corona outbreak, we've been getting about 122 to 150 posts every single day. And these are all related to the coronavirus stuff. Like, people are seriously concerned. And when we have team meetings to discuss with our moderators, okay, what do we approve now? We make sure to approve posts that provide immediate value to the community. Because we realize a lot of people out there are spreading a lot of fear inside the group, and that's immediately one of the first things that we eliminate. And if we see any GoFundMe or any fundraiser, we immediately tell them to email us so we can talk to our team and talk to our legal team, because we know there's potential for a lot of different ways to quote unquote scam people. Right? We don't want that to happen to our community. So anything that we can verify ourselves, like all the information, helping each other, that we can definitely help. That gets the first priority. And we want to still make it a safe place for people to voice their concerns. It hurts us to read all these posts about all these small Asian businesses not doing so well right now, and it really motivates us to do more too. So, for example, in the past couple of days, I've been negotiating with a lot of different corporations to see if we can create a relief fund to help these small businesses. And I posted one yesterday with our partnership with InKind. Because originally, before, we were giving $1,000 every single month to aspiring entrepreneurs, and now we repurposed that to use it as an emergency fund. But we started to think bigger too. We're like, okay, what is $1,000 going to do for one person right now? Not so much, right?
Right.
So we started thinking bigger. Okay, what if we use this $1,000 to pay for, perhaps our trip to meet these corporations, to negotiate, and to get things rolling, that we help even more people. So that's one initiative that we're working on. And we're always constantly having our ears to the ground. We're listening to everyone. Like, what do we need to do right now to make sure that our community continues to succeed? Not just the Asian Hustle Network community. We're talking about the community around the world. And we've been seeing a lot of Asian crime that's occurring all over the world. And, you know, this is your guys are going to hear it first, but we're creating a new campaign called Hate is a Virus, that we're gathering up a lot of influencer around, all the Asian influencers around the world, to kind of wear a t-shirt that says, hate, to get to like lead the message of hate and discrimination currently. So we're gonna work with a lot of influencer. We're gonna be on national TV pretty soon, just spread our message. But we see what's going on with American politics right now, and we're just like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this is stuff that we read about in history books and documentaries that we're like, oh my God, we're experiencing it right now. Right. So luckily for us, we live in an age where we live in the age of social media, where we can get like attention really quickly and not have this be swept under the rug. And for us, we're so action oriented that seeing this, it doesn't sit well for us as founders to not do anything, to not leverage our influence to create a positive impact. So going back to your point, we approve every single post that does more impact and helping the community. Those are our top two priorities.
And I will, if it hasn't been said enough, I want to say thank you, not just for me personally, but, to the tens of thousands and then potentially the secondary impact of hundreds of thousands of people who are being impacted by the work you guys do. This stuff is exhausting, right? We're not only fighting a public health crisis and making sure that we are safe and that our parents actually listen to us and stay home. And then we're fighting our friends who hopefully are all more aware. But, even as of a week ago, just urging friends like, dude, like that's not that important, or, consider the implications of your behavior. And three, we're continuing to hear and really scared for and trying to support our friends, our aunts and uncles who run businesses who never had a contingency plan like this. And then four, this is unfortunate, which is all the racism stuff, right? So it's exhausting. And, we often hear stories of, actual moderators who work at Facebook who have to humanly watch the videos that get flagged. And, I often think about, you two and, Benny at Next Shark, who's created a group called Crimes Against Asians. And that's gone from 0 to 3,000 in like 72 hours. And when you watch Mei Lee's videos, you can see the pain and anger in her eyes. And so I just want to say thanks, because it's a group effort. I changed the entire format of my show, and now we're doing, at least once a day, hopefully, or probably more than one a day. Also because we have the time. So, I hope that we can get through this and look back at this time as a really defining moment for all of us to have created community, right? I shared this with Jason yesterday, is, a lot of the same reasons, Maggie, you mentioned of why you started the Asian Hustle Network, of not seeing yourself. Just go to a bookstore, right? Go to the bestsellers list. Not a lot of, 3, 4, 5 letter names there, right? Then you go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and there again, the guys all generally look pretty similar. Yes. So, this is not to minimize their voices, but this is to expand ours, because that context matters, right? So, how we grew up, how we came to this country, and what we studied, and how we pivoted, and even still, viewing everything in the context of respecting and honoring our parents. I think you guys have created something that have fundamentally, again, this was not your intent, right? To be a resource group for Asian American businesses or Asian businesses in America, but you've become that sort of by default. And as somebody who's been observing and participating, you guys have risen to the cause and have never said no. And so hopefully all this stuff goes down, at least on the physical or the healthcare front. But the impact on business, I think it's never going to be the same. So, I appreciate all that you guys are doing. It is evident to a lot of us that you are taking it there, very, very seriously. and creating community and really there's the saying as meeting people where they are and not making them come to you through this group. We'll see how it grows, right? But I think the thing that you're doing with In Kind and highlighting stories of people that are doing something. Bryan, yesterday or this morning you posted what must have been a list of 100 businesses that I'm across the country saying, hey, let's support these people. So we hear stories of restaurants turning into little mini Costco's and selling rice by the big bag and trying to get rid of inventory and all that good stuff. So yeah, I don't think you guys did, and certainly I didn't think that we would carry this honor of trying to mend the community daily as the wounds are continuing to be ripped into our skin and our hearts daily. So really, thank you. You guys are. I don't know if you guys signed up for this, but you did. And so on behalf of so many of us who've been positively impacted, and it does mean a lot. And for you guys to come and share a little bit of your story with me and with our audience here, it's only going to make the network stronger and the impact much more meaningful. So I want to end on the topic or the theme that is the namesake of our show, which is Dear Asian Americans. It is a letter to us from us, coming from a place where I noticed that nobody talks to us, nobody asks us our stories, not only in the host chairs of interview sessions, but even in the guest chairs. We don't see enough people like us. And in years and years of wondering, wishfully thinking, why aren't there more stories? Finally acting upon the inkling in my heart to say, dude, you got to do it. So this is an ongoing lifetime letter, not only to my children, but all of us as we evolve now. So I don't know which one of you guys wants to start, but I will start the letter and help us finish it out. Dear Asian Americans.
I'll go first. Dear Asian Americans, I just wanted to say with the Asian Hustle Network, regardless of whether or not Bryan and I had signed up for this job, in the past 4 months, it's really made an impact in our lives. And I wanted to say that over the last 4 months, even when we were a month into creating Asian Hustle Network, it dawned on us that this was more than just managing a Facebook group. This was about creating a movement. And we realized that what a lot of Asians, not only Asian Americans, but Asians in general, what a lot of us want is to just share our voice, for us to be heard. And Bryan and I want to be able to reach out to all of the Asians all over the world, and for them to have the opportunity to share their voice and share their story. Because no matter what you think about your own life, your own story, there's a lot of people who may think, your story may not be as important or as interesting as any other person. But believe me, everyone has their own story. And I think it's time for us to put ourselves on the map. We've been, a lot of us have felt like we don't have a voice. We have to, just sit back and let other people talk for us. But honestly, this time is ours right now. And I think we're on a really big wave right now. Timing is so important. And it's similar to, back when YouTube got started, how Wong Fu got big, and then now we have Crazy Rich Asians that came out, and that's another wave that came out. And then we had Aquafina who won the award, and now with COVID-19, I feel like this is the time for us to come together and work together so that we can all fight against all of the xenophobia and racist remarks and actions that are, put towards the Asian community. And if we don't come together, we don't have a voice, and we're living in a generation now where we have to come together and support each other so that we can overcome this together. And, if we just come together, we can do so much more.
Yeah, Maggie really nailed it. To compliment what she said, it's been a complete honor to be in this position. We never saw it as work. We have people that came up to us and be like, "Are you guys getting paid for all this?" And to be honest, it's no. We literally spend all our time on our phones. And if we're not spending time on the phone, we spend times in meetings trying to make an impact. So the way we look at it right now, even though most of our events are now canceled, we're literally working from 7 a.m. to almost midnight every single day, answering people's questions, addressing their concerns, setting up new partnerships, setting up new foundations, reaching out to people, making something happen, because we're not the type of people that can sit back and watch things transpire. Like, we need to make a difference. And that's just in our DNA. This is even before Asian Hustle Network. People ask me, Bryan, like, one day, if you have an influence, what would you do with it? I told them, I want to make an impact, and I want to make something positive to help the community. And that's been my answer since I was a kid. You ask my parents, my family, friends, my childhood friends, what I've been saying since I was like 6, 7 is pretty much the exact same thing I'm telling you right now. It just now I sound less crazy, like before, even a couple months before this, people are like, Bryan, you're still crazy. But everything that's happening is everything's happening. It's crazy that I'm put into this position right now, and I know that kind of influence that I want to make, and I want to create this foundation for our future generations to succeed. And I'm crazy enough to believe that I can do it, and I can be this person, that I can continue pushing forward for more Asians in mainstream media, in corporate ladders and investment ladders, because I just want a better world. I just want tomorrow to be better than today. And those are my goals.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you guys are a real testament of not only action. There might be a lot of people who are listening who want to do something, and still, because of a lot of the situations or culture that we grew up in, are still looking for permission to let somebody to give us specific instructions to say, this is how you do things. That's not how the world works. That's not how change making happens. You need to pivot. You just need to start. But it also speaks to just being ready to evolve and to understand that as things change, that our responsibilities change as well. There are a lot of amazing stories within Asian Hustle Network of, restaurateurs giving away free food, or, when Frank asked for the masks, we had dozens of people saying, I will ship whatever I have. And so, however, I guess, help is different, right? So, I hadn't thought of it until now, but, perhaps for the time being, the H in AHN is help, right? It's the help network right now, because people are mobilizing in their own way. You don't need to be an emergency doctor to save lives right now. Giving away food, doing groceries for an elderly neighbor who can't, telling people to stay home, doing what we're doing now, and hopefully getting to some folks whose minds will change after hearing our stories. From wherever we are, in whatever way we can, everybody is playing their part, and for you guys in particular to have created this group, not knowing any of this stuff was going to happen, and for you to be a real magnifying glass and then a megaphone to then spread out the stories to the world, and then to mobilize, has been really inspiring to see. If you guys are working, 20 close to 20-hour days, and I'm sure rest is not easy, and I too am exhausted. Feeling exhausted, and then so for those of you too out there who feel defeated, you're not alone, and in the spirit of taking care of ourselves as well, take a break, get some whatever it is, inside your house, do something, turn off your phone for an hour. I'm sure you'll get a lot of notifications, but I think if anything, one of the things that I've learned in the last week is 90% of the things that people said and they swore that mattered, that they couldn't live without, that they had to have something this way, it's all out the window. The world changes, and you have to adapt, and then to realize that if in emergency situations you can live without those things, consider living without those things going forward, but consciously, because it doesn't matter, right? So I wish you guys so much luck. I know numbers are important, but I think, qualitatively, just the level of impact.
Right.
I think that's going to be your legacy. You're going to save businesses. You're going to save families. You're going to save anything and everything that you can right now. Because the reality is, as people network within the group and help each other without even telling you guys, your impact by having created the group, we'll never be able to quantify that. So, one man, one woman can make a difference in this world. And thank you for what you guys do, and get some rest. I think we're in this for the long run. Where you guys are at shelter in place, where I am, it's probably not too far behind. So thank you guys for what you guys have done, and we'll continue to do, guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having us on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, guys. And guys, let's get this group to 1 million by, I don't know, next week.
Sure.